Central one, and then their kids are at McCamey. So, yeah. Thank you. We're going to come to one of the games coming up. So, yeah, so Connor will see. He misses
It's a place where you're free to express yourself and just free to explore who you are and become your own person. Turner Theater has really helped me grow as an individual, grow as an artist, grow as a student. It requires a lot of work ethic, it requires a lot of time management, it requires a lot of focus. But it's also a place where I just get to have fun and explore try new things. Through Turner, I've been able to practice with different makeup, practice with costume, be on stage, be in the orchestra, be able to choreograph, be able to direct. It's really helped me establish who I want to be as an artist and kind of what I want to do for the rest of my life.
CFB Fine Arts has just changed and strengthened the gifts that my boys have already had. Each of them is developed musically and on stage in the theater programs in just ways that we never could have imagined when we saw them starting out as first, second graders. I think the arts just develops in our children the love for their culture, the love for other cultures. They have, I think forever now, will be interested in going to see shows on Broadway, seeing them as they come here to Dallas. Several of them, I think, want to go full-time into music or into theater themselves. So I think long-term, if nothing else, it's developed in them the gifts that they can stand up proud, they can hold themselves together, they can work together as a team.
So when I came to Turner, I decided to join the Meta Academy. I came in as a really quiet person, and throughout the school year, throughout the semesters, I ended up getting out of my shell, learning a lot of different skills that I could apply not only to the projects here in the Academy, but also to the real world scenarios. I am now a junior at Southern Methodist University, and I am in the engineering school, majoring in civil engineering and math. And everything that I've learned here at the Academy, not only have I been able to apply it to what I'm learning in the classes, what I've been able to do in my internships, I think all those skills have really been able to help me grow as a person, have been able to allow me to build the connections that I need, not only with students, but with professionals. I've been able to come back, receive the same support from the teachers here, and continue strong as I go through my university career.
Guess that's it. This regular meeting of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees is called to order at 7:00 p.m. on January the 14th, 2014. At this time, would you please... January 14th? This is 16th. It is not Tuesday. At this time, please stand as Richard Fleming leads our opening prayer, and remain standing as Nancy Watton leads us in the pledge to the U.S. and the Texas flag.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this brand new year that you have bestowed upon us. We come to you today from many walks of life. We are united in the goal of educating all students in the Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District. Thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon the district. Continue to lead and guide our district's leadership in the year 2014. May you always give us the wisdom to make the right decisions, give us the inspiration to meet the needs of the future, and continue to guide our students and give them vision and courage as they will be our future leaders. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please be seated. Thank you all for being here this evening, and if I may, I'd like to start with a little housekeeping. As a district, we dedicate all of our efforts and resources to our goal of high achievement for all students. And the board uses this goal to guide us in all deliberation, actions, and decisions. You will get to see all the deliberation, actions, and decisions of the board in open session, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in closed session as stipulated in the Texas Government Code Section 551, which is commonly known as the Open Meeting Law. These items typically deal with personnel matters, consultation with attorneys, and real estate. For the record, all board members are present this evening. Therefore, we do constitute a quorum and can conduct business on behalf of our district. As board members, we are each committed to continuously improve by participation in appropriate continuing education programs annually. As required by board policy BBD local, as of today's date, each board member is on target for completing and exceeding the annually required continuing education credit hours. With that being said, we will now move to agenda item 2, recognition of special guest and announcement. Dr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Good. Members of the board, first let me say Happy New Year. Okay. I've got to tell you something. I'm so impressed with this group because we've been running the announcements and things before board meetings for this first semester, and you're the first group that stopped and watched them. I'm just thinking, wow, this group is an impressive group. So I kind of figure you can pass the test that we're about to have. Okay, so before we start our VIPs tonight, I want you to think about how many different ways can you come up with words that stand with VIP. Okay? So if you need to Google, you can. I'll go ahead and tell you, it's about 140 different ways that you can use the acronym VIP. So let me just give you a few. There's the Vehicle Inspection Program. Okay. There's the Visual Identity Program. There's your Very Informed Peers. There's your Very Impatient Person. And then, got to be the favorite, there's Very Into Pizza. But you know, none of those really accurately describe our VIPs here tonight, because our VIPs are our very important professionals. And so we celebrate our VIPs here tonight. It's our way of saying thank you for all your efforts, all your hard work, and your commitment to helping us achieve our goal of high achievement for all students. So, to our very important professionals, we'd like to recognize you tonight. So when we announce you, if there are friends here that you have brought with you or family, please stand when your VIP is introduced and join us in this recognition. And now at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Good, our president, to join us in the front to honor our very important professionals.
Are you going to play one of those instruments?
It is required to play this.
Mr. Good, members of the board, Dr. Burns, and colleagues. My name is Stephanie Cherney, and I have the pleasure of serving as the principal of Vivian Field Middle School. It is my great privilege to introduce Coach Jimmy Fellbaum, our science department head, a member of our leadership team, founder of the peer-to-peer PE project with Farmers Branch Elementary, and boys assistant coach, to be recognized as Field's next member of the very important profession of teaching. Okay. So, Jimmy was born with an apple in his hand. When I first met Jimmy, he told me that he came from over 60 years of teaching experience. His mother was a teacher and his father was a college professor. So it is no surprise that Jimmy started his first career as a teacher and has been in education for 7 years. He started in CFB 6 years ago at Vivian Field. He is from the small town of Robinson, outside of Waco, and has been married to Holly, who is, no surprise, a teacher for 5 years. They're expecting their first child in February. A little bit about Jimmy. At Vivian Field, we believe in the power of optimism and enthusiasm. Jimmy Feldbaum is the embodiment of these qualities. Jimmy's energy level is unmatched, and his desire to go above and beyond is truly inspiring. He led the work to redo our courtyard last year, and I think he is some kind of wizard or alien when it comes to technology. Jimmy always has a smile on his face and a positive can-do attitude ready when asked to complete a task. On any given day, you will see his students mirroring his enthusiasm and big personality in his 6th grade science classroom. In true Aggie spirit, whoop, Jimmy exemplifies the 12th man by standing at the ready to make a play on behalf of the students at Vivian Field, and our kids know it. One of his students wrote, "Coach Feldbaum really gets kids' minds and helps me learn and understand because he starts simple and then he goes higher." Another student wrote, "Coach Feldbaum is very loud and he does everything he can to help us. He is a real teacher." One of his athletes said, "Coach Feldbaum teaches science like a coach. You know, tough, caring, excited, and he wants us to win with our data when we take tests with all the other middle schools." The staff at Vivian Field share this feeling of adoration. Can't get my page switched. His colleague wrote, "He is the Swiss Army knife of teachers. He can do anything in record time, and instead of Google, we just asked Jimmy. He's the very same character as Cliff from Cheers." His coaching staff says of Jimmy, "Jimmy is both a blessing and a curse. He could work circles around Thomas Edison." Another field teacher wrote, "Jimmy's the very definition of school spirit. He is always positive. He always has a smile on his face. And even at the most stressful times, he is the first to offer a helping hand. He is a joy to be around and a privilege to work with." So in closing, if Vivian Field were the Boy Scouts, he would have 87 merit badges on his Vivian Field sash. So congratulations to you, Coach Feldbaum, for your recognition from our field family to you on becoming a member of the very important profession of teaching.
Good evening. I'm Penny Coney, principal of R.E. Good IB World School, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce our latest member of the very important profession of teaching, Juan Dorantes. You know how teachers kind of have themes each year? The bulletin board and decorated door at Meet the Teacher Night in August gives you a clue. Baseball borders shout, "Welcome, 4th grade All-Stars." Kangaroos beckon us to jump into kindergarten. Well, Juan doesn't have a theme so much as he has a statement. He's Superman. He's got the Man of Steel posted outside his room right over his nameplate. There's that iconic S logo everywhere in his classroom. And rumor has it he hides his cape under his calendar math kit. So it's time to sort out fact from fiction. Is Mr. Dorantes, in fact, really Superman? Let's look at the evidence. Yes, Juan has the super strength to always help carry in from the parking lot the loads of supplies and bags and crates other mere mortal women teachers struggle with. He's first and foremost always a gentleman in everything he does. And Juan has shown the strength, not to mention the speed, of Superman when chasing down and returning that squirming, crying pre-kinder that decides maybe school really isn't for him after all. Superman has X-ray vision. I'm not sure Juan can see through his kids, but he can definitely see into how their minds work. He knows they need his firm but loving hand to energize their developing brains every day. He sees the joy in the light bulb going on when a student finally gets it and congratulates her. And he sees the frustration of trying and still not quite getting it yet, and provides encouragement. Above all else, Juan sees the potential in every child that comes through his door. He sees them at 6 years old, but he foresees what their lives can be, and he never lets them forget that si se puede, yes, you can. Even Superman has to be Clark Kent at times, and so does Juan. Clark respects and loves his family, and Juan gives and receives that love with his good Gator family. Hugs and high fives from students past and present, encouraging cheers like, "Hey, it's Monday," for staff, and always time to talk and really listen to parents. As one of our teachers perfectly put it, if you can't get along with Juan, you just can't get along. It looks like the evidence is overwhelming that this mild-mannered, proud ex-Marine, California transplant really is Superman. And now that Texas finally has In-N-Out Burger, he's going to stay. We are very proud to welcome Juan as our latest member of the VIP.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Dr. Burns. I'm Bob Tipton. I'm the principal of the Mary Grimes Education Center. And I'm here tonight to recognize Mary Needler as a member of the very important profession of teaching. Ms. Needler serves the students in the Moving On Up program, which is housed at Mary Grimes. This program prepares post-high school special needs students for successful transition from school to life after school. They accomplish this through real-life volunteer and vocational experiences in which the students grow and mature, with many obtaining part-time paid employment before graduating. The MOU creed should read, "Neither snow nor rain, nor heat, nor tardiness of DART buses stay these teachers from their swift completion of moving their students to their daily work experiences. Daily you will see Mary, unless the conditions are extreme, and her students traveling across the district to different job sites and learning experiences. You will see them helping teachers with projects at numerous elementary schools. You will see them putting furniture together at the Dallas Furniture Store. You will see them stocking shelves at the Goodwill store, attending classes at one of our community colleges, and participating in numerous other learning opportunities. Mary is teaching students how to move about the community safely, use the DART bus system, and be responsible workers. Mary truly exemplifies student achievement. Let me restate that. Mary truly exemplifies student achievement at the highest level for all students, as many of her special needs students leave Grimes with paid employment and are successful contributors to the community after their school experience is over. The following statement from a peer helps clarify her contribution to school and district. I witnessed the great work she does with students. She takes her class all over the CFB area learning lifelong skills and helping the community. She has done a great job this year as our cruise director. That's the person who keeps morale up around our place. They know I don't. Helping raise a staff morale with the activities she has planned. Related to that, she has involved one particular student playing to his strengths and interests. He hopes to be a party planner when he finishes high school. She's always on the go, always has her students' best interest in mind. I would like to close by saying that I see the effect Mary has on her students. I watched the scared, meek, shy students grow into self-confident young graduates ready to lead successful lives after they leave our district. Thank you, Mary, for choosing Mary Grimes as your home campus. We are pleased to honor Mary Needler as a member of the very important profession of teaching.
The choices are yours to make. Make them good ones, and that's all, baby, is the favorite saying of the B. Salazar DAP nominee for VIP, Paula Brown. Formerly a successful businesswoman, Paula realized she wanted to impact the future generation and decided to make a midlife career change to teaching. The business world's loss is the gain for the students of B. Salazar. She began as an instructional aide at DAEP in 2007, but quickly earned her certification as a teacher and has never left DAEP. The heart that she has for working with the most at-risk students in CFB ISD is unsurpassed. Paula has been instrumental in working with hundreds of students on one of the most important components in an education, character. Character education is a requirement for students while enrolled at DAEP. However, due to the personality and enthusiasm of Paula Brown, it is one of the classes that students look forward to during the school day. In the words of one student, Miss Brown keeps it real. She knows what we've been through and why we have attitude. She lets us be who we are and to express our feelings. Without being judgmental, Paula utilizes students' real-life experiences to teach lessons that will help students to be successful, not only when they return to their home school, but in life. Whether teaching young ladies to be strong and independent, or young men to resist the call of the street, Paula acts as a mother figure, firm yet loving. She is often heard to say to a student, "You need to fix that," while at the same time providing encouragement and respect for students who don't always have a lot of reason to trust others. Whether we know it or not, Paula is saving lives by making students feel worthy. One young teary-eyed young lady summarized all that is important about the difference Paula makes at DAEP with these words: "She made me realize I could do a lot better if I don't give up on myself, and to realize that I don't have to face things alone." It is my honor and privilege to present Paula Brown, VIP of B. Salazar.
Our next recognition tonight, we're proud to honor Dairy Max for their Fuel Up to Play 60 grant. And so tonight, we're going to, for their support of CSB, we'd like to ask Mary Dixon and Sarah Beth Ghazali, did I say that right? Close? Close enough, huh? To join us up front for us to honor you, and then board member Mr. Frank Shore is going to tell you a little bit about Dairy Max's grant.
Tonight, we recognize Dairy Max Inc. for their involvement in our school business partnership and education program. CFB ISD is fortunate to have an outstanding relationship with Dairy Max Inc., an organization that serves. They care about their community and strive to make a difference. Our partnership is an example of what is possible when a public school district and caring individuals work together for the welfare of our community's youth. Dairy Max Inc. is a local nonprofit dairy council representing more than 950 dairy farm families to 31 million people across southwest Kansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas. Dairy Max communicates the importance of dairy in a nutrient-rich diet. It fosters innovation in dairy promotion and educates about farming and industry practices. Their partners and stakeholders include school and district leaders, health professionals, academia, industry, media, and consumers. They focus on collaboration and outreach rooted in current science-based nutrition information and research to foster a healthier society. The National Dairy Council, local dairy councils like Dairy Max, and the NFL, in collaboration with the USDA, launched a program in 2009 called Fuel Up to Play 60. With nearly 73,000 schools enrolled in it, it is the leading in-school nutrition and physical activity program. It empowers students to fuel up with nutritious foods such as low-fat or no-fat dairy products, fruit, vegetables, and whole grains, and also have the students participate in physical activity for 60 minutes each day. Fuel Up to Play 60 offers a very competitive grant funding opportunities to help schools make sustainable changes to create healthier school environments. A large portion of the funding comes from dairy farm families across the U.S., including those from Dairy Max. Through funding from Dairy Max, all 26 CFB ISD elementary schools received a grant in the total amount of $98,800 for the 2013-2014 school year. Each CFB ISD elementary school received $3,800 to be divided between the physical education department and the student nutrition services. In addition, every school received a $200 in-kind donation from Dairy Max for student incentives. The physical education and student nutrition departments are both utilizing this grant for the CFB Get Fit theme. Through the grant from Dairy Max, CFB elementary physical education classes are using items such as fitness ropes, fitness body bars, sand bells for strength training, agility ladders, and Instapulse heart monitors. Every 4 to 6 weeks, students rotate through Get Fit stations using this equipment to help develop healthy fitness habits at a young age. Student Nutrition Services has used this grant to encourage healthy eating habits. They are providing our students with 2 taste tests this year, one of milk and one of a breakfast parfait. Teachers are taking pictures of the students tasting the milk in a got milk format to promote the dairy portion of the grant. Once every child has received a free breakfast parfait, Student Nutrition Services will review the data to determine if more students are selecting a healthy parfait as part of their breakfast menu. Wall art is also being purchased to display in the cafeterias to encourage healthy eating habits, along with coolers to help keep dairy products cold on school-wide trips. We are extremely grateful that Dairy Max has chosen to partner with and support our district. The support from Dairy Max has enriched the lives of our students and contributed to the experiences that promote the academic and social development of our students, producing a strong, healthy learning environment. On behalf of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District Board of Trustees, and with James Good, President, and Dr. Bobby Burns, Superintendent, presenting, it is our privilege to present this plaque to Dairy Max, Inc., a business that truly exemplifies a meaningful relationship between our business community and our schools. Accepting the plaque are Mrs. Mary Dixon and Ms. Sarah Beth Gazzoli from Dairy Max, Inc.
Thank you very much. I just want to say a few quick words. We have a few items to give all of the board members tonight, just as a thank you for all that you do. It has been such a pleasure to work with Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD. I wanted to say a personal thank you to Bobby Poorman, Rochelle Sharon, her grant committee. If you guys could all stand real quick, because you did such a tremendous job on your application. It's a tedious process. It's a very competitive grant. So these individuals and all the PE teachers did a wonderful job. And we do have a very large check just to show if you would like to have any pictures taken with the $98,000 check there. Wow. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, don't go away. We have one more special recognition tonight. So Mr. Good and I are going to take our seat, and then we're going to recognize a very special January. Step over. Many of you might be aware that in the state of Texas, January is the official school board recognition month. And of course, I say many times, we should not only do it 1 month out of the year, we ought to recognize our school board every month for all of the work that they do. And so we do have a special program for them tonight. But before we do that, you know, we are doing math tonight in our presentation. So I said, you know, I probably ought to pull some numbers about our school board, okay? And did you know that this school board here in front of you, seated before you, has over 200 hours worth of continuing board education hours of training just since July. Okay? 206 hours. The minimum that a school board would get in the state of Texas is 56 if they just did the minimum. Okay? The board members in front of you have collectively 206 hours. Now I have another number for you that I want to tell you about that is a little bit staggering. 745. That's the number of hours that the school board members in front of you have been at events since July of this school year. This is just the first semester, mind you. Things like, obviously, board meetings, work studies, football games, fine arts events, chamber meetings, all of the events out there in the community, out at our campuses, our school board members go to and attend. And I think sometimes we don't realize how many hours that adds up to. 745 hours, and we're not even, when we're just now beginning the second semester, and that will double for the second semester, I can promise you. So January is a special month because we recognize them, but every month is a month for us to celebrate in this community because we have 7 volunteers up here who are dedicating their time, I have the evidence of the time, to serve this community to help us reach our goal of high student achievement. So would you join me in standing and recognizing this outstanding school board? And now, in honor of School Board Recognition Month, we have a very special performance from the McCamey Choir. And I believe that Mr. Brett Farr, our Fine Arts Director, is going to introduce the choir. Are you going to do that tonight, Mr. Farr, for us? Okay.
I'm going to let them get set first.
Okay.
Oh, their shirts. Oh, these shirts are so cool.
Bennett Ratliff.
Bennett's here. Just so I know.
Missing tooth. Oh, look at that. This nice choir.
You know, Bennett Ratliff here. Oh, okay. Why does he have campaign signs up, I wonder? He's not up. How many years?
2-year term. Just carries them.
Yay. My niece. My niece at the house.
This one over your knee?
This one was just like it's at the house.
Right here?
Yes. As long as she ain't got no babies right now, she will. They're teenagers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah. But
I've been waiting.
That is a performance in itself.
Dr. Burns, President Good, and members of the board, I'm Brett Farr, Director of Fine Arts. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Billy Ferguson and the McCamey Orff Ensemble from McCamey Elementary School. As some of you may have already heard, Mr. Ferguson and the McCamey Orff Ensemble have received the highest award that can be bestowed upon an elementary performing ensemble in the state of Texas. Through a highly competitive audition process, the McCamey Orff Ensemble has been selected to perform in February at the annual convention of the Texas Music Educators Association. In fact, it should be noted that this is Mr. Ferguson's second time during his career to be asked to perform at the TMEA State Convention. I will tell you that most music educators never get an invitation at all so 2 times is quite extraordinary. This much-awaited performance is less than 1 month away. You can tell this by checking Mr. Ferguson's blood pressure. Having had the honor personally to perform at Team EA, I can tell you that this upcoming performance will be a mountaintop experience for Mr. Ferguson and for these wonderful students. I've had the pleasure of sitting in on some of the rehearsals that these students have been having, and I can assure you that these students have been challenged and there is a high level of expectation that has been set by Mr. Ferguson for not only the upcoming performance, but also for the daily work that goes on in the classroom. This group of audition 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders meet twice weekly after school for 45-minute rehearsals to perfect their playing and musicianship skills. Mr. Ferguson's class represents a model of superior instruction supporting a rich learning environment. Students are regularly challenged and encouraged to aim higher in everything they do. In closing, the success of the McCamey Orff Ensemble would not be possible without the generous support of our parents, campus administrators, district-level administration, and certainly our Board of Trustees. Each of you plays an integral role in providing the necessary resources to ensure a quality education for all of our students in every area of the fine arts. Please know that we are grateful for your support and that everything we do, we possibly will do to honor your commitment to the arts. Without further delay, please sit back and enjoy just a glimpse of what will be presented at the Team EA convention.
Encore.
Good job. Good job. Great.
Reverse.
One more time.
That's part of the fitness thing. You got to carry this back and forth. That works.
Wonderful.
We wanted a picture of the important people that put in our program for 20 years.
Yeah, right back there. Looked like you played an instrument.
So great. Awesome. Awesome. Yes, you were.
Well, I was kind of worried when I started taking the instruments away. What are we going to do? They're all really good.
How about act like you love each other?
Oh, man. That was incredible. Yes, you did. Incredible. Fabulous. Good music. Yes. Yes.
Okay, guys, you're going to look at me. Are you ready? Ready?
Look at talented. That's what we've been trying to do for years.
1, 2, 3, and last
Does that
one.
factor into the ERG? Look
Good job, lady. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Good job. Good job. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
That is amazing. What's his name? Good job. Ferguson. Great job, you guys.
Thanks to the kids.
Good job. Thank you for coming.
I couldn't tell. I didn't see you dancing. I didn't see you dancing. Well, I was moving a little bit already.
Back up.
It looks heavy.
Good job. Can't play. Can't play. Super job. Good job, guys. Good job. Super job. Good job.
Mark, if you could play that. If you could play that, man.
That was fantastic. I get to see San Antonio. Yeah.
I need to start a board meeting every week with that. Yeah. I was at that.
Can we have some kids make flyers?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
No.
But you really can't say anything after that, right? I mean, that was unbelievable. Now, I guess we know now why they're going to TMEA, right? Yeah. And it was noted how important it was for you to be able to lift them, too. So we were working on that physical fitness part of it. We have one last recognition tonight to share with our school board members, and we have a special guest. We have our state representative, Mr. Bennett Ratliff, a former school board member himself, a true friend of public education, and we are honored to have him here tonight, who is going to honor our school board with a special reading. So, Mr. Ratliff.
I would say thank you, but you put me up right after the kids. And I'm not
Well, you know, that's the way we want to do every politician, right after the kids play.
Yeah, you never want to follow children, and that's an incredible performance. I'm overwhelmed. So, but thank y'all for let me take a few minutes of your time. As you said, I having served on the school board for 9 years, I certainly appreciate what y'all do every day, and it's my honor to be here on School Board Recognition Month and to bring y'all greetings from the state of Texas. We passed a resolution on your behalf. I'd like to read just a piece of it because I know y'all got a big agenda tonight. I'm going to read just the last two paragraphs for you. Whereas each of you, as notable Texans, demonstrates a truly exemplary commitment to area students and brings a set of skills and a range of experience that contribute immeasurably to the success and operation of the district, now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District Board of Trustees be honored on the occasion of School Board Recognition Month, and that you be extended sincere appreciation for your outstanding service to the community on behalf of the state of Texas. So thank y'all very much. Y'all are tireless advocates for our children, and I know how hard you work, and I know you've got a long night ahead of you tonight, and I just wanted to give you my sincere appreciation in that from the state of Texas for everything you do for our children and for the outstanding education you're providing for every one of them, and I know you work hard every day to do that. So thank you all very much, and it was my honor to be here to give this to you.
Thank you, Dave. Mr. Good, members of the board, we are finished with the recognition piece tonight.
Thank you very much.
Could be.
If you will indulge me for just a few minutes, this is always a very special time of our school board meeting. The opportunity to not only see and observe many activities, but first to our 4 VIPs. We always want to say thank you. It's difficult sometimes for us board members to say thank you because we're not always on your campus very often. And so this board meeting gives us an opportunity to hear the great things that you're doing in a classroom, but especially your dedication and your belief in all of our students. And that's exemplified this evening because of the diversity of the situations that all of you teach in. And it's really great to know and understand and appreciate we are making a difference. And you are the people who make that difference. So I want to say thank you to our VIPs. And then to Dairy Max. What can we say? It's unbelievable. Your belief in our school system and your belief in how you can impact a child's life by being able to provide, whether it be nutritional or physical activities, which will help them academically. So we are truly indebted to you for being here and allowing us to say thank you to all that you have done. And of course, to the McCamey Elementary students who are now left, but maybe, are there parents of the students still in the audience? If you are, would you please stand for just a minute? Any parents? I guess they left with their kids. Anyway, it is such a thrill to see the quality, the dedication, the talent that these students have. And that's not a simple task for them to undertake. They have really had to expend the effort to become accomplished in their program and to be able to be recognized by TMEA at their state convention. We are really thrilled. And Representative Bennett Ratliff, I think he's already walked out. I wanted to say thank you to him. It really helps for us as board members when we have state representatives who truly understand what goes on in public education. And Representative Ratliff has really been a strong supporter. He has been extremely approachable by all of us on the board. And we have probably told him more than he really would like to hear sometimes. But he understands it's important for us to be able to do certain things that the state either ignores or turns back toward us when it comes to ensuring our success with all of our students. So it is truly a thrill to be able to say thank you to so many individuals, whether they be adults, whether they be students, when we can see the quality of their lives and how that is exemplified in our educational system. With that, I'm sure you would love to stay for the duration. However, I know we have some educators who probably know that they have class in the morning. With that, we are going to take a 10-minute recess, and the time is at, I think it says 7:48. Let's
It's a 3-day weekend. To remind everybody.
Oh, good. Till they sit out. Ladies and gentlemen, we will reconvene our board meeting at 7:57 p.m. And we will move now to Agenda Item 3, Report by Superintendent. If I may, before Dr. Burns begins,
Thank you, Marcus.
shortly in our agenda, there will be an opportunity for audience for guests. If anyone would like to speak to the board, which we encourage you to do so, if you would fill out the form outside the double doors and give that form to Ms. Scrivener, and then at the appropriate time in our agenda, you will be called upon. So thank you. And Dr. Burns, with that, we'll go to your report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Good. Members of the board, as you're aware, each board meeting we talk about student achievement, because that's why we're here. And tonight we're excited to bring you really great information about our mathematics work in our district. You know, we got to have a saying, you know, love CFB, but love math too. You know, I mean, everybody ought to love math, and everybody can do math. We have that mindset. We don't want everybody say, oh, I don't do math. Everybody does math in this district, and everybody can do math. And so you'll be excited with the passion that our math people bring to that for all the people that they work with. So I won't say any more. I'll turn it over to Ms. Warnock to introduce our presentation tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Burns. I thought it was so appropriate, the music that was here tonight, because there is music in mathematics and there is mathematics and music. And we believe, just like we want all children to have an enriching arts experience, we want every child to have an enriching experience in mathematics. And we do believe that every child is and can be a mathematician. So we want to turn it over this evening to Pam Smith, our pre-K through 8th grade mathematics director, and Tanya Garvey, our high school mathematics director, for a little insight into mathematics and CFB.
Thank you. And there's probably nothing truly better than hearing music, and on my wall it says, "Math is music to my ears." So I'm right there with you. Okay, Dr. Burns, President Good, members of the board, CFB employees, parents, and special guests. It's indeed an honor tonight to stand before you and tell you all the wonderful things that are going on in CFB and mathematics. Here tonight we've got some people that I want to each one of them to stand and introduce themselves to you. You can go in any order.
Ty Fullback. I'm a math coach. Ann Barnhill, I'm an elementary math coach.
Sarita Von Springer, elementary math specialist. Jill Mallory, elementary math coach. Molly Klein, middle school math specialist. Melissa Arsden, high school math specialist. Jamie Taylor, elementary math specialist. Allison Stacy, math coach, elementary. Donna Freeze, elementary math coach. Ashley Wilcoxon, elementary math coach.
And these ladies are members of our math team, and there's several of them missing tonight because they're over at Newman Smith running the UIL competition in mathematics. Thank you, ladies, for being here tonight. Just to tell you a little bit about what these ladies do, they spend countless hours working directly with teachers to improve the teaching and learning of mathematics. Okay, now I've got to learn to work the machine. Tonight, we're going to give you just a brief look, and Mr. Gu, you said that often, you know, school board members don't get out into the campuses. Well, we're going to bring the campuses to you tonight.
Right.
So we've got lots of great things to show and share with you. The two things we're going to focus on is the continuous improvement of instructional practice and the continuous improvement of our community support. One of the things that's going on right now is that we have a lot of changes coming down from the Texas Education Agency. We have brand new TEKS that were actually adopted in 2012 but have to be fully implemented in 2014. With that said, there's some statistics that I need you to hear. How many changes are actually being made? In kindergarten, 44% of the standards they will begin teaching in August are brand new to their grade level. First grade, 22%. Third grade, 31%. Fourth grade, 26%. Fifth grade, 39%. Sixth grade, 55%. Seventh grade, 39%. And eighth grade, 39%. some of the examples that I've shown here tonight is they're doing some shifts, and a lot of the shifts aren't necessarily going up to high school. They're coming down. Fractions predominantly in the past many years from the 2006 TEKS, we predominantly focused on fractions in middle school. Fractions now have made a shift, and they will all be completed with hopefully mastery by the end of grade 6, so 7th and 8th graders then can apply their knowledge of that. Probability is something that we used to spread out across the grade levels. It's all been shifted to 7th grade. So 7th grade's pretty heavy now in probability and stats. Another change is that we've always had our underlying processes and skills, which actually was the guiding principles of how math should be taught. What should classrooms look like? And they were always at the end of the content. Now they've moved the process standards up front and center and said, this is the way classrooms look. We're going to build the content through these ways, and I want to walk you through what these actually mean. Students are to select appropriate tools such as real objects, manipulative algorithms, paper, pencil, technology, techniques such as mental math, estimation, number sense, and generalization to abstract to solve problems. So in our classrooms, and here's just some visual pictures taken around our district, these are kids that are using the hands-on manipulatives, yes, working paper, pencil, building that brain mind, looking at technology. Now let's take you into the classroom. This is an actual 8th grade classroom at Long. These are some things that teachers are doing. You have to give me a minute till I can get actually logged in. It would help if I would use the right one, huh? What they have done at Long is that kids we often know struggle in mathematics. With that said, the teachers at Long have done some amazing things to get kids signed up on Moodle. And within Moodle, each of those kids, when they're not very successful on a unit assessment and they have the opportunity to reassess, the teachers have worked all of the problems. Kids log in, they watch how the teacher solves the problem. They then fill out a recording sheet that says, how is your thinking and my thinking different? Because one of the things the new process standard says is that if we can get kids to own and reflect on their own learning, then they're going to, move at great speed. So I want to give you an example, and we're not going to watch the whole video, but I want to show you an example of what's going on with the good
This is the 4th question on the probability assessment test. I'm going to start by reading the question. An ice chest has 3 cans of Sprite and 2 cans of Dr. Pepper, which are covered with ice. Without digging through the ice, you reach in and grab 1 can of soda and hand it to your friend. You then reach in and grab another can for yourself. What is the probability that you grab a can of Sprite and a can of Dr. Pepper? So the question is asking us for probability of Sprite and Dr. Pepper. We know we have 3 cans of Sprite, 2 cans of Dr. Pepper. Since we're thinking about this and we're not actually recording results, and we're not actually performing this, we know that thinking means that it's theoretical probability. We also are going to try and decide whether or not it's simple or compound probability. Since we know that we're going to have, let's see here, we're going to reach in once, and then we're going to reach in twice. That's 2 events. We're talking about 2 events, we're talking about compound probability. For our probability statement, we're looking for the probability that we get a Sprite and a Dr. Pepper. The probability for my Sprite, we're going to look at our total outcomes. We have 3, 4, 5, 5 total cans. And our desired outcome, also known as our favorable outcome. is Sprite. We have 3 of those. For our Dr. Peppers, after we've pulled out a can of Sprite,
that's just giving you kind
our
of a general
total number
idea.
of cans left is...
Okay. And the teachers have spent a lot of time and effort putting together those videos, and the kids are learning themselves. I'm going to show you in a moment some real exciting stuff. Okay, so here we go. The next one talks about that kids are to effectively communicate mathematical ideas. They have to reason about their implications using multiple representations such as symbols, diagrams, graphs, computer programs, and language. We've spent a lot of time in the district getting kids to really understand mathematical discourse. And so now what I'm going to do is take you inside a classroom at Davis Elementary. This is a 3rd grade classroom with kids actually letting you hear what they know about math.
So it's like multiplying it. Like if you're doubling that number, to double something means you're doing it 2 times. But in this case, you're adding it, and so it would be like the number.
What was the relationship between the triangles and rhombi?
The 2 triangles make 1 rhombus, and 1 rhombus makes 2 triangles, so our relationship is multiples of 2.
Okay? In our classrooms in elementary, they spend a lot of time in Math Congress, and that's what we call it. It's where you argue. You set your example, you say what you think your generalizations are. You will see kids working the same problems in groups. They will get in front of the class, present their evidence. Then at the end, this is an example of Math Congress.
What do you think about what Adaya has said? She's saying 1 is multiplying by 2 and 1 is dividing by 2.
Well, they're all the same, they're just reversed.
I agree with Bada because on the 3rd chart, the chart number 3, it said you're doubling from left to right, but on the 5th one, you're doubling from right to left. And you're dividing on the 3rd one from right to left, and on the 5th one, you're dividing from left to right.
Well, that's what I said. Yeah, that's why I said I changed my thinking, because I agree with what you and Bada said, because it's just reversed. Like that one is 2 divided by 1. That one is 1 times 2. And then if you change the backwards, it would be 2 divided by 2, because 1.
Okay, so at the end, once all the students have worked in groups and they put their evidence on the board, that's what you see. Now kids are going to compare, contrast each person's viewpoint, which ones do we think were right, and that helps kids to internalize the math and being flexible thinkers and hearing other people's thinking. Okay, then it goes on to say that students have to analyze relationships, and so this is an example, and all through these pictures you've seen these things on the left are called anchor charts. That's a high school classroom on the right. They post daily, sometimes weekly, sometimes things from prior knowledge, but kids always have visual around the room, anchor charts to anchor the learning. Now we're going into McCamey Elementary School, and you're going to see an example of students explaining their thinking through the use of iPads.
Miss Taylor, the art teacher, orders crayons that come in boxes of 24. This year she orders 36 boxes. How many crayons did Miss Taylor order? So first, I would draw my array. And then my factors, 24 and 36. And then I would decompose them into 4, 20, 30, and 6. Then I will draw my lines. And then I would multiply 20 times 30, which is 600, and then 4 times 30, which is 120, and then 6 times 20, which equals 120. And then 6 times 4, which equals 24. And then I would add my products. So 600, 120, 120, 120, and 24. Then I would add them. So 4, 6, and 8. So Miss Taylor had 864 crayons.
Okay, this is an example, and I wish that Miss O'Connor was here to actually, yes. Oh, you are? Well, you want to tell them a little more about it?
This is just one of our first examples. We're still learning how to manipulate, moving it up the page and writing on the iPad, but it's really motivational for the children to be able to be the one to teach other children, because this is linked to our website, so when they get home to do homework, if they need a little bit more support, or if the parent doesn't quite understand what they're doing, they can go to our website and watch an example of another child explaining their thinking and how to do the process.
And the example, thank you, Bridget. I thought you had left with your wonderful musicians. But the example that the child was doing here is a strategy that we use in elementary school called partial products. Tanya?
And it leads right into when they start to factor quadratics. They use this area model to factor quadratics, especially with a coefficient greater than 1. Mm-hmm. So that sets it all up and models it so that then it leads right into what they're going to do in high school when they get to us.
And that's only one strategy. We work through several strategies with multiplication, but the big idea and enduring understanding that we want kids to know is that multiplication is just a distributive property. And if you can distribute numbers, you're going to come up with a product that's going to be right, whether you did left to right, right to left, set up an array, did a traditional algorithm, and we do address all of those in our district. Okay. So, Dr. Burns, I heard you say that we believe that all can do mathematics. So that means everybody in this room, including school board members. So you're going to get to, don't laugh. So, because it's your time now. Sure can't. Oh, you can't use calculator. These are going to all be mental. I promise you're going to do quite well. Okay. We work 10 minutes a day in the elementary schools and throughout middle school to build numerical fluency, because that's one of the things that the standards are also telling us, is that we've got to have kids just really and truly understand number and to be numerically literate. Okay, so here we go. See how you do. 17 plus 10. See, you didn't need a calculator for that.
You don't know I've got it yet.
Oh, you're right, I don't.
Miss Smith, don't forget wait time. Okay.
Oh, I got to get some wait time?
Wait
Okay,
time here.
Wait time. Okay, who would like to share the answer?
I better get mine now.
Go ahead, okay.
Smart move.
All right, smart man, yes, okay. What was the answer?
I said 27.
And how did you know it was 27?
Just because, 17 and 10 is 27.
Okay. So what you did was you just conserved 17 and you just added on 10 more. You knew that 17 and 10 just made 27.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
let's try this one. Okay. Someone tell me your answer.
30.
Okay. How did you know that was 30?
7 and 3 is 10, and 20 and 10 is 30.
Oh, so he looked at a known combination of 7 and 3 and saw it was a 10. He knew then 10 and 10 from his tens place and added another 10 and got 30.
I could have done that with the 27. I just.
You could have? Oh. Okay, so here's what I want to know then. If you could have done it using your 27, what would you have done? Now I'm putting you on the spot. Okay, because you said you already knew 17 and 10 was 27. How did you see that related to 17 and 13?
Well, like
John, it's 3 more, John.
0 is 7, and 10 and 10 is 20, and 20 plus 7 is 27. Right?
Okay, okay.
He's using an abacus.
Oh, yeah, she's in the Okay. Okay. And so let's look at 17 plus 16. Okay, when you have that answer, someone tell me.
33.
33. Who yelled 33? How did you get 33, Miss Sarita?
I used seven, the one he just did, it was 30, and I saw the second add-in went up by 3, and the first add-in stayed the same, so I knew my sum went up by 3.
Okay. So Sarita's beginning to look that there's a relationship between the 3 problems, which is exactly where you were going. You already knew 27, it was just 3 more than what you did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or there's lots of other ways.
You need to explain the relationship.
And some of you didn't volunteer, but if you were in my class, I'd have you moving. Okay, so these are called number strings. And what we do is we're deliberate about our practice to get you to build this mental image of math and to really slow down the process enough to look at the numbers before you just start spouting out answers. Okay? That was really good. Ready?
Now here is a sample of what it looked like on the PSAT. And first of all, you're given A plus B equals 12 to start with. So now what's the answer to 2 plus A plus B?
14.
14, and why is that?
Because A plus B equals 12, plus 2 equals 14.
Right. So as long as we're looking at a group that they've given us A plus B equals 12, we know to add 2 to it, and it's 14. How many kids we have that look at that before we started doing these number strings earlier, looked at that and said, I don't know what A is and I don't know what B is, so I can't answer the question, I'll move on. But once they're used to thinking in ways where they look at number strings and how you add to a group, then they realize they've already got the group answer, which is A plus B equals 12. Let's try the next one.
40.
40.
40. Everybody gets a little nervous when the high school person starts talking. I don't know why. It's like, just say it and have some confidence. Yeah, it's 40. And why is it 40? Anybody over there want to tell me what you did?
3 times 12 is 36.
There you go. So as long as you keep that A plus B, that group right there is 12, then you know what you're going to do when you multiply by 3 and add 4, just like she said. And that all stems from being able to look over here at 7 plus 10 is 27, adding the 3, and then going down again and adding another 3 to 30. And it starts there and leads us right into what we need when we get to high school.
So Rachel, I'm so proud of you for using your orders of operations and getting that problem right. Okay.
All right, now we're going to go through the history of testing. And back in 1980, when we had tabs at the exit level, which is about 11th grade level, this is what we had. Barrels of crude oil. Which state exports the least amount of barrels of crude oil monthly?
Louisiana.
Louisiana. All we have to do is look up there and see which one has the smallest or the least amount of barrels up there. Now we move to 1986 when it goes with teams, and we look at the graph right here, and it says in 1970 tuition of Britain preschool was $300 per pupil. According to this graph, how much money was collected in 1970?
Oh, you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all you have to do right here is look, find the point, and then multiply 30 times 300. Remember that they had a calculator to use here too, okay? So you can plug it in, find your answer. Now, toss. We're up to 1999 now. Exit level. We have graph pie chart of the solid waste. We have each one of them. We have the total amount listed for us. Now we're going to know some more steps here if you read this one through. It's a little bit more in depth with the steps. Go ahead. You have to find what paper is because it asks about paper on the pie chart. Then you divide tons of paper by the total amount. And then you convert it to 40%. And again, you still have a calculator. You got an answer It was more steps than what it had been in previous tests, but you still used your calculator and found the answer. Tax exit level, 2003. All right, we're looking at a chart. We're looking at the student council sponsor. We're looking for central angle here if you read this. And I'll give you a chance to read. Right, when you look at this one, the first thing you have to do is figure out all the votes. It tells you this right here. And then who finished third. And then the percent of the votes. And then you have to understand a little bit about what how to find a central angle, or a lot about it actually, how to do it. And then use that to figure out the answer, which is 72 degrees. Again, there is a number and an exact answer you're going to find here. And you do still have a calculator. Now, star exit level, well, where we are now with this one. I just like hearing, whoo. All right.
You have your answer. Feel free to share.
This is, which of the following is the correct description of the graph of a quadratic function given by f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, a does not equal 0. Okay, now what I want you to notice first of all is this. Which of the following is the correct description? There is no exact number answer to find. They get a calculator on STAR and it helps them with a lot of questions, but a lot of these, a calculator is not going to help them. All right, what they have to know here is b squared minus 4ac is the discriminant, and which one of these is the correct description of what that discriminant gives them. They have to understand what that means. That's the change in our test from years past to current. So when you think about that and you think about where you were when those tests, what age you were, I graduated in '88. So I just got to plug in a little calculator, go, move. But I had to now, if I'm graduating, I have to be able to understand and give descriptions. I can't just punch it in a calculator and tell you what an answer is.
And I'm not going to say when I graduated, but I didn't even have to take the test. So it didn't matter what I knew or what I didn't know. But anyway. Okay, so with that said, and you can see the progression, the math is more rigorous. It's getting more rigorous. The focus is on the process, less on the answer, but we have to have right answers. And that's where we want kids to be. But they're having to make judgments in math and explain their thinking to somebody so that we clearly understand that you know the path that you've got, how to get to that real answer. So with that said, we've got lots of teacher support in this district. You were introduced to this team over here that works tremendous, like I said, every day with teachers. Coaching teachers. We have about 150 plus teachers that are in this model this year. Professional learning communities. Every mathematics teacher in this district has the opportunity to meet with a specialist, study the mathematics, ask questions, deepen their understanding. In middle school and high school, that's because, well, they do that almost on a daily basis, whether it's with a specialist or without a specialist, because they have built-in PD. In elementary school, we run a tight schedule with the specialists that they rotate from campus to campus to campus and have the opportunity to sit down with teachers, all kindergarten, all first, and this is separate, studying lessons. With that said, because elementary doesn't have professional development built into their day, then we've put in Math Mondays. So you can come over to the ESDC on a Monday afternoon and you'll see the parking lot pretty filled, because it gives elementary teachers the opportunity to come and study their units, and we usually go from about 3:30 to 5 o'clock. Then we have training, and with the use of federal funds, we've been able to help teachers deepen their content knowledge and also to really understand the landscape of learning, because it's not always the end that if I know math, I'm going to be just this great, great teacher. I have to also understand how children acquire that knowledge. And so here are pictures of high school on your left, you've got middle school or elementary in the middle, you've got middle school on the right. And this year, because of the funds being so graciously given to mathematics, we were able to help kindergarten through 5th grade with a one-day training. In middle school, we come out of the classroom 3 times per 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and the 8th grade team was over today doing their study on kaleidoscope hubcaps, which is all about looking at transformations in mathematics. And then in high school?
Yeah, Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, we pull out 2 days a semester.
And by the way, I'm going to just say this, and y'all can chime in, but teachers ask for the trainings. They're consistently telling us we need time to meet with our peers, study the math together, look at misconceptions, figure out what we're doing so that we can increase the student achievement. House Bill 5.
Yeah, House Bill 5, there's been some changes and some things we're waiting on. First of all, we know that Algebra 1 is the only test we have to graduate, and they changed that. But the Foundation High School program and the endorsements. Algebra 1 and geometry are what we know students have to have right now. Then it's an advanced level math for that 3rd level for the Foundation High School program, and then another advanced level math for the endorsements. The kicker is we have to wait for the state board to vote on that to know what those are. We have those classes there, but they haven't told us yet which ones they will be. So we're waiting to hear from that. The other piece of the House Bill 5 is we have to offer a course in conjunction with our community colleges. So right now with Dallas County community colleges, they're getting together to look at a senior math course that will help those students going into college. And so we're waiting for them to get with us, and then we'll all meet together once they get their group together, and then we'll decide that for their 4th year math course.
We just mentioned a snippet, or Bridget did, about posting to the website. We do a lot of work in the district to make sure that families are involved in our math. I've done morning math. Davis has doing math with dads. We've had family math nights. All of our campuses, for the most part, get something together and really, really focus on some aspect of math. This year, our focus was on process standards. On the left, this is actually a picture from Field Middle School, and yes, if you build it, they will come. And I want to encourage middle schools to continue to look at things like this and bring the parents in. They are interested, and we are very much interested in giving them what they need. On the right-hand side, you'll see 4 kids that were involved in our math competition. Elementary math competition, and several of you on the board have attended that award ceremony, so you know what it's like. But we have 27 students in grades 3 through 8 who represent all campuses in the district. And then they come on a Saturday. Well, first of all, they compete, spend countless hours on the campus time to study math. They either can compete in an individual competition or team problem solving. And then they come together on a Saturday at Creekview, and when the award ceremony ended, there's about 2,000 parents, grandmothers, sisters, brothers that fill that gymnasium there to watch over 600 kids receive accolades in their ability to do math. The team problem solving is by far probably one of the most exciting things you'll see, because they literally are given a packet of 20 questions, and kids can look at them for 5 minutes, and then they're given about 40 minutes, and they can only solve one problem at a time, but it's learning to work as a team to come up with an answer. Okay, moving on. Okay, so now we're going to talk about our current state. These are the STAR performance I'm saying this crazy, but anyway, it's our scores on our STAR assessment. You can see in 2012, and this is from grades 3 through 8, not looking at individual grades, but putting them all together. The state of Texas was at 73% of students meeting that standard, and in 2013 at 72. The region's at 74, 73. Our district was at 77 and went to a 72. With that said, what we know, we've been putting a lot of work and effort into, we don't like the 5% dip. Nobody likes a dip in scores. We've studied this year the STAR release test. This is the first time that the state has actually released the test so that teachers, parents, anybody, students can actually look at the exam and then really study how are they questioning. Is it aligned to what we're doing? Are we rigorous enough in those classrooms to get that kind of thinking out of kids? We've also worked to get better at just visualizing mathematics in the classrooms, and that was evidenced through a lot of those anchor charts. We spend a lot of time with students in what we call think alouds, and that's where you saw evidence of kids verbally talking to us about how they know they got the answer. It's not about punching just a calculator key, but something in your brain told you what to even go on the calculator and punch. We don't use calculators in elementary or middle school. Now we're still waiting on the state's word of whether 8th grade's going to move to a calculator test. And I can tell you, I think a couple of years ago I told you it's in the making. It will be very soon. We spend a lot of time also looking at our data and teachers formatively assessing what students know and are able to do, and then looking at misconceptions to try to make sure if I go into a classroom and I know the misconceptions, the teacher moves that I make while I'm in there are going to hopefully clean that up before I get to an assessment and I see kids that are not being successful. Our areas of growth in grades 3 through 8, measurement, fractions, and problem solving. It's particularly multi-step problem solving, getting kids to know that math's not just about looking and finding an answer. You have to process through, use some background knowledge, bring that forth.
All right, in high school right here, you look at Algebra 1 EOC from 2012 to 2013. Look at the state first, and it dropped. It went from 83% to 78%. Then around us in our region, it went from 84% to 80%. And normally 1% change, I won't celebrate a whole lot, but when everybody else goes down 4 and 5%, I'm going to let those numbers do the talking for us. We're not there yet, but we're pretty excited about this comparison that we have for high school math. Now with the ERG data with SAT and ACT. We look at this for many reasons. One is because we want to be number one in ERG, and this is 20% of our ranking. But the other reason why we look at it is this, and this is why I look at high school math for our students. The way they do on their SAT and their ACT, their grade point average, all of those things give them options when they graduate. So they can choose whatever area they want to go into, whether they want to go into a career, a tech school, a community college, or a four-year college and university. Our goal is to have all those options available to the students. So if you look right here in ERG, and this is the most recent data we have for that right now. The SAT in 2011 was at 46. We moved up the ranking to 33 in 2012. ACT, we were at 21, we went to 12, so we moved up because we got closer to 1. The math average of those was 513 to 512 and 22.5 to 22 and 3/10. That is above the national average and above the state average and competitive within 2 points of the nation's average.
And I'm going to back up just a minute because there's something that I failed to say. This data is not the scrub data. This is actually every student in our district because we really do look at all students, not whether they just count on the accountability or not. This is a picture of all of our students. Okay, and so now we're going to conclude because what we know is that math is reasonable, it's fun, but you have to understand there's a reason to know math. So I'm going to pose a question to you. Why are most manhole covers round? Why are they not square?
Because
And I'm really doing good on my wait time. Now, any good math teacher would tell you that this is your homework assignment. And I want you to figure this out because on Monday, when we start our lessons, or actually Tuesday because we won't be here Monday, on Tuesday when we start our lessons, we're going to start looking at the attributes of shapes and how important those attributes are. Does anybody want to venture to give a guess? Now, not my math people. Anybody on the board want to venture to guess why are manhole covers round? Okay, here we go.
Here.
Why?
It's easier to drill in a circle than in a square.
Okay, easier to drill with a circle and not a square. That's a great way of thinking. Mark?
So the cover won't fall in the hole.
What won't fall in the hole?
The cover.
Absolutely. So what you know is that on the diameter of a circle is the same. And so we talked to the kids about this. If it were square and a car ran over it and it went kind of sideways, Pythagorean theorem is going to tell you, you got a hole in the street. If it's round, not going to ever fall in. Can't. So as you're walking down the street next time,
I don't agree with that.
okay, you don't agree with that?
Do the math.
Well, you can have a square and a frame that's square, and it would never fall in.
Oh, if it has that lip around it, Frank, I agree with you 100%. And most of the time, that's the way it is. And I will say this, so that's what my thing is, they laugh at me, but I really have a phobia about this on walking the streets, and I walk across grates that are like rectangular or square, and I will walk around them. Because in my head, I'm saying, I really know my math, and if it were to go, it could fall on that diagonal. But if it's circular, smooth sailing.
I think the main reason that manhole covers are round is because the manholes themselves are round.
Around. Okay, thank you for that.
Just stands to reason.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that concludes.
Sure.
Do we have any, I'm going to put this back over to George. I'm laughing so hard now. I'm going to go back over to
Thanks,
Georgianne.
Ms. Smith. We see that math has changed and the expectations are changing. In this globally competitive environment, we want all of our students to be expert mathematicians with deep understanding and able to articulate that. It's very important. So thank you for allowing us to share tonight. Mr. Good?
Board member, any questions?
Yeah, well, let's get a patent on a triangular
Hey.
roll cover.
Hey, I might be with you. We can go on the Shark Tank.
I do have one question. I want to go back to something that you mentioned. You said that teachers really do want the training. My question is, does a teacher have to choose between the training or missing time in the classroom with their students or with their students?
Well, so with that said, I mean, sometimes, yes, some of our trainings are offered in the school year, but we do offer plenty of trainings throughout the summer.
Okay.
We do, I'm glad you brought that up because I failed to even mention that, but we do math institutes in the summer, which means that all elementary teachers come for 2 days to really get a grasp of the Turk investigations in our elementary curriculum. We also do 2 to 4 days in middle school of CMP. Tanya does CME training all the way to algebra. Then we have a 2-day, and I know that you've attended this before, we have a 2-day that's very much like a conference, and it's just individual sessions, and teachers choose where they want to go based on their own goals to deepen their understanding. So it's not always. And then the Math Mondays are totally after school.
Okay.
Thank you.
And also, Tanya, we talking about PD, we also do it during the day.
Oh,
In fact,
yeah.
this week we just had PD, and so during that 45-minute time frame where they're off for math, where they're out to work on math, we go over there and we schedule time to go over there and do the training then.
Thank you.
Are the teachers getting it? Are the teachers getting it?
Nancy, are the teachers getting it? Let me just tell you, not only would I tell you that teachers will now tell you they know more math than they've ever known in their entire life. And it was a change in philosophy, a change in thinking, a change in being flexible. But just like myself, it's very difficult to do because I knew one way to work math problems, and I was really good at doing that. But yes, and teachers will tell you that they would never want to change from the curriculum, and they want to continue to move forward. And what they're able to talk to me about now is where the holes are. We got to get more rigorous problem solving. Let's put more problem solving. Let's keep up with all this. So I would say yes. And then students, bar none, I can actually talk to kids now about math, and they will just, and they were used to very shy with me about it. So yes.
Good.
And I think that's overwhelmingly. Does anybody, coaches, y'all want to say anything? It's just fun, Nancy, to talk to people now.
No further questions? Thank you for the presentation.
Thank
We
you.
do appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Mr. Good, if I could add one thing, first of all, we're learning that math is not a non-verbal content area. It's verbal, very verbal. But I had to say, I see these coaches and these facilitators, all these people out here working on the campuses when I'm out there. Nobody works harder and more relentlessly with helping teachers in their classroom, outside their classroom, and so I just have to say on behalf of the administrative team, we recognize your efforts, and it's certainly paying great dividends for us, so thank you for all your work out there, math coaches and facilitators.
Dr. Burns, we'll move on to agenda item 3B.
Yes, Mr. Hyatt.
Dr. Burns, Mr. Good, at this point, what I'd like to ask Ms. Tillman to come to you, and we're going to present a report on the 2012-13 final results of operation and the 2013-14 current financial position. And this is all in anticipation of your work you're soon to do on budget for next year, but it also marks the end of the processes we're going through related to our 2012-13 financial audit. And the next item on the agenda will be to consider that annual audit. So, Ms. Tillman, if you'll proceed.
Yes, thank you. Each of you at your place have two documents. This one is our comprehensive annual financial report, and that's for you to keep for 2012-13, and also we have our final 2013-14 budget book. These documents will also be online for your convenience. We wanted to give you some highlights from our 2012-13 fiscal year that we have finalized. And for our general fund, we did end the year with a $408,630 deficit. This is well under our projected budget. On our revenue stream, we were just under 1% positive variance from our original budget. And on our expenditures, we were just under 4% variance from our original budget. For 13-14, we do have 4 months operations behind us right now, so we've updated our projections for 13-14, and we're currently looking at a $2.5 million deficit, and we did adopt originally a $7.6 million deficit budget. Those variances are also very small from our original budgets. We also are going to be looking at the technology requests that you heard about earlier in a work study. So if we do go forward with those projects, then our ending deficit for 13-14 would be approximately $8.8 million. We are on target with our 2014-15 budget timeline. The next major discussion will be next month at our resource allocation work study, so we wanted to provide you with some initial information leading into that work study related to 2014-15. We do have to make some assumptions, and some of these are outside of our control, like the first two, largely outside of our control in terms of enrollment and state funding formulas. However, there are some items that will require board action, which include making decisions on our compensation adjustments, on our staffing levels, and any other future commitments to improve instructional practices. We would like to continue with the priorities that were identified by the board that we utilized last year for compensation, which included continuing with our longevity pay program, remaining competitive within our own area, and also establishing a district-wide collective performance pay system. Market data is not yet available in a final form for 13-14. However, we do have preliminary information from TASB-TASA indicating that for returning teachers, the average raise statewide was 2.9%. Recall that CFB gave a 2.5% raise plus a $500 performance pay.
Tonya,
Yes.
if you added that $500 into the compensation, what would that do to the percentage?
It would go above the 2.9 for the majority of our teachers.
Okay.
So for consideration for 14-15 for this first model that we're going to look at, we did maintain longevity pay, maintain performance pay, and we utilized a 3% pay increase, which would allow us to also adjust our beginning teacher pay up from what it is right now. And this is just a very rough estimate, our first estimate, looking at 14-15, if we did indeed make these compensation adjustments and make no other programmatic changes with the exception of the Phase 2 technology that we've talked about, we would be looking at bringing approximately a $15.5 million deficit budget for adoption in that range, with a target to realize no more than 11.2 for the 14 fiscal year. Again, these are very rough estimates at this point. So if we utilize those estimates and took our fund balance from August 31st, 2013, this would put us right at 62 million going into the 15-16 fiscal year at 108 days. This would leave us going into 15-16 required to make some decisions going forward to maintain that level. And that's what we'll be talking with you about at the work study. We also wanted to mention that the next major decision would be potentially the technology funding request that we would bring to you at the February board meeting in the form of a budget amendment. And this is the information that we wanted to provide you with this evening.
Ms. Tillman presented this information to you, and a lot of the information, in fact, all of the 2014-15 budget information isn't to presuppose any board action or board decision. What we wanted to do is give you a preview of things that you have done in the past, work sessions that you've done in the past, direction that we understand that we've been given in the past. And if we follow along that same line of thinking that we had in prior years, this is the beginning point to look at. This is where we'll begin when we get to the work session. All of what we're doing tonight and some other preview material you get in advance of that work session is to allow you to arrive at the work session ready to work, and we really won't do a lot of teaching at that meeting. We'll do a lot of decision making. Do you have any questions about this information?
Board members, any questions for Ms. Tillman or Mr. Hyatt? Can I assume we are all eager for our work study session in February? Mr. Shore is ready to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to agenda item 3C. Dr. Burns?
Yes, Mr. Hyatt, turn it back over to you regarding our CAFR.
Thank you to Dr. Burns. Prior to this meeting, our district audit committee met to discuss the comprehensive annual financial report for the district. Ms. Tillman indicated that report. You all have a copy at your places. That report does indicate a solid financial position of the district at fiscal year-end close of 2012-13. Our auditors indicated a clean opinion. That's an unmodified. They changed the language of what a clean opinion is in an audit report. It's now an unmodified opinion, which means, in their opinion, they didn't have to make any changes to what we did to make it present fairly the results of operation. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Shore to consider a recommendation from the audit committee.
Thank you, Mr. Hyatt. Mr. Good, earlier today, the audit committee had an opportunity to meet with the firm's auditors. And as Mr. Hyatt mentioned, the auditors gave the district the highest ranking that they're capable of giving. Historically, it would be called an unqualified opinion. The terminology's been changed. I guess it's to keep people awake. So now it's called an unmodified opinion. But the district received that. The audit committee wants to make certain that we express our gratitude to Ms. Tillman, Mr. Franks, Mr. Roderick, for the hard work that they do, as well as everybody who works for the administration. I knew before the audit committee meeting today that we were going to get an unmodified opinion. The reason I knew that is because I've been studying the color of Mark's hair all year, and it hasn't changed at all. So I didn't need the auditors to tell me what they told us. They probably wouldn't go by that scientific study, but I knew that. So anyway, the audit committee unanimously voted to approve the CAFR, and that's our recommendation to this board.
Very good. That recommendation coming from committee, or that motion coming from committee, does not require a second. Therefore, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may, I'd like to remind you one more time, one of the first items we will move on to is audience for guests. If you would like to address the board, please ensure that you have filled out the form and given to Ms. Scrivener. With that, we are going to move on to Agenda Item 4, which is Board Operations. Thank you very much. And the first item, Agenda Item 4A, is Audience for Guests. I have one request from Ms. Shirley Tarpley. Ms. Tarpley, if you'd go to the microphone and introduce yourself and where you live, and state you are given 3 minutes to make your presentation, and Mr. Shore will be timing that.
And before you start, one of the things that we discussed in board operations is that I am very strict on keeping time in 2014. So I want to give everyone an admonition to that extent. So now I was chastised that I was too lenient. How the hell do you work this thing?
Ms. Tarpley.
Okay. My name is Shirley Demas Tarpley, and I live at 1507 Milam Way in Carrollton, Texas. When I was hired as a teacher in this district, there was little or none recognition of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his contribution to world peace. Today, I am truly proud to be a resident in the Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District and to witness the advancement of this district to honor Dr. King. I must admit that when Dr. Burns said a special recognition in January, I thought he was going to mention Dr. King since this is his month and his birthday. However, I dare to say that Dr. King would be so proud of this district for its motto, and I might not be repeating exactly, high achievements for all students. Thank you, Carrollton-Farmers Branch Board of Trustees, for recognizing Dr. King and with closing our schools on the day that our nation honors Dr. King.
Ms. Tarpley, thank you for your comments, and let me assure you, you will be seeing all of us Saturday morning promptly, regardless of the weather. Thank you very much.
Regardless of the weather?
Regardless. We will be there.
Getting their exercise, I might add. They're going to walk.
I believe that was our only audience for guests. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Very good. With that, we'll move on to Agenda Item 4B, which is our consent agenda. Our consent agenda is a mechanism that we use to take one vote on many items of routine nature for our school district. Therefore, at this time, board members, are there any items on the consent agenda you would like removed for discussion? Hearing none, board members, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mr. Shore.
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'd like to second that motion.
And I have a second by Mr. Fleming. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Dr. Burns, I know you don't have any comments, but I will. Are there any comments from board members regarding our agenda this evening? Yes, ma'am.
The inside of most manholes is not round anymore. And I have seen a round manhole lid fall in. So, but I'm done with my input.
Okay.
Mr. Good, it is not specifically on our agenda, but I would like to point out to my fellow board members, I know we all share in pride that we have a special person in our midst this evening who has just passed her superintendent's exam. Congratulations, Mrs. Warda.
Very good.
Thanks.
Any other comments?
Frank's got
Oh,
one.
Mr. Shore, again.
Mr. Good,
Yes, sir.
this is School Board Appreciation Month, and I joke around occasionally. I want the six of you to know how privileged I feel to be able to work and serve with each of you, and how proud I am to be a trustee in this board. It is my honor to be associated with the six of you, and to the extent I bring you down, I apologize.
Thank you, Frank.
Mr. Shore, I believe your comments are reflected in the fact that all of us carry that same ideology, because it's exemplified in what we have been able to accomplish for the benefit and for the welfare of all of our students, that we truly do believe that we as a body of 7 can make tremendous differences in the lives of all of our students. So thank you for your comment also. Ms. Klein.
I was just going to thank the district staff for their colorful, fun entertainment, and I really didn't understand why you wouldn't play one of the instruments. But it was really cool.
Very good. Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item 6. Dr. Burns, do we have anything for closed session?
No, sir, we do not.
Well, regarding that, then therefore I will not read all of this legalese language. And we will move on to agenda item 8, which is adjournment. And being that there is no additional business, we are adjourned at, I think it says 8:57.
8:59. 8:59.
We're getting close. I said 8:57.